Welcome. I'm so happy to have you here, Esmeralda. It's my pleasure to have another women entrepreneur that we share the same the same passion for traveling. And you visited 50 countries, and I knew that I need to get your life and business story from you. So tell me about you. How did you start traveling the world, and how did you started your business?
Yeah, absolutely. First of all, thank you so much for having me. I think it's amazing. I love connecting with other women and just seeing everything you're doing and for women and just business in general online. I think it's amazing. So thanks so much for having me.
Thank you.
It all started for me, I think, story of a lot of women. It's like I did what I was supposed to do. I went to school. My parents immigrated here from Mexico and it was really hard. But it was like go to school, get a job, get a really good job, get benefits, stay there and retire, hopefully buy a house, and it kind of like what everybody's projection looks like. And so yeah, that was working out great for me. I went to school. I love education, by the way, so I don't want to downplay on that because I have two master's degrees. I put myself through college working 3, 4 jobs at a time. My parents unfortunately couldn't help with my tuition, but I was very adamant about, making sure that coming here and the opportunities that I had that my parents didn't, I was trying to like compensate, right? And be like, okay, I have to get all of these things. So for me, schooling was a big thing. And yeah, the way it got started was I did it, right? I went to school, I graduated, I got my bachelor's. I was a school counselor for women who, like the non-traditional path. So women who maybe had kids very young, maybe, they were doing really bad in like, they call them like, what do they call them? Like at risk, kids, where it's like they grew up in really bad neighborhoods or they couldn't finish high school, stuff like that. So I was really passionate about that.
Mhm.
And I was working like crazy. It was, a for-profit school. So it was like I was working Monday through Saturday, sometimes 13 hours, 14 hours, 16-hour days.
Oh, wow.
Um, yeah. And so, it got pretty exhausting. It was like I was working, I was going to the gym, home, school, gym, work, home, school, gym. So it just kind of got very monotonous. And I just always, loved to travel. I remember as kids with my parents, we didn't have a lot of money, but they would pack us up in a little van or something, and we would, drive across, the country, or sometimes we would do just trips in Yosemite or camping. And we did travel back to Mexico every year. And so I think that sense of travel and just adventure was always in me because of, my
Mm.
parents. Um, but it was never nothing extravagant, right? It was literally like we would make our own food, like little tacos with beans and pack them up. And we would stop and like, but they made it so much fun. So to answer the travel question, yeah, I just started early. And as early as I could in college, I saved up some money. And my first international trip was Costa Rica. And I
Wow.
went with a bunch of girls. Yeah, it was really fun. Have you been anywhere in Central or South America?
No,
No.
unfortunately, I didn't leave the continent, the Europe, but it's on my wish list this year to go to Bali, I hope. So I
Oh,
cannot wait to
yes.
get in that part of the world as well.
Yeah, I mean, just anywhere tropical, right? Like anywhere
Yeah.
different for me was like exciting. But I remember that just being such a pivotal moment for me, not just in my traveling experience, but in life in general. I went out there with like 10 girls, and I was on my own and I had saved all this money. And just the feeling that I got literally when I stepped out of that plane into like this new environment, I was like, I want to do this forever. Like I remember thinking that in my brain, where I was like, I want the freedom to do this. And so that's when I decided. I was like, I think I was 18, where I decided like, okay, I need to figure something out with like my work situation so that I can do this forever, right? But of course,
Mhm.
life gets in the way. So fast forward when I was working and kind of like in this job, and it was really satisfying, but it was just, I felt like a 50-year-old. I was like 24, 25, but I was working and just mentally exhausted. So yeah, that's kind of just to give you like of how it started, but um I'm kind of rambling on, but that's kind of
No,
how.
no, no. It's really cool to find out similarities with my story and to understand how we create our desires. They start up when we are child and in our
Yes.
childhood by doing stuff with our parents. So both you and I were traveling with our parents. For me, it was every Sunday we would go to a picnic or to take a bath or go to with our bikes in the forest. And I got this desire of I want every weekend to do something else, to go and travel somewhere else. And that became in time I want to live in every country I love, like at least 1 month. So
Yes.
this was my second year where I lived in Tenerife. But and it starts with our childhood. Our desire starts with our childhood. And we
Absolutely.
as adults, what we are doing is figuring out the steps so we can fulfill those desires. And for me, it was okay, let's go back to, I used to work as a crazy woman as well as you. Like I
Mm,
used to be as an art director in advertising agencies, working from Monday to Sunday sometimes, and they weren't paying us for the extra time. They were not paying us
mm,
for the weekends. So I was almost to the point of burnout. My health was on the ground. My body couldn't take it anymore after 8 years of working all the time
wow.
in this environment. So then I decided, okay, I have my studies in psychology, my business master's in business psychology. So let's go back to that, and I will it unraveled in time that I can do my sessions online and I can work from everywhere. So that means that I can travel everywhere. So that
Mm.
was how the process unraveled for me. How was for you? How did you started to travel and earn money in the same time?
Yeah, it's just the similarities in our journey are crazy because again, going back to this job where I was just, I was fulfilled in a sense because it was a sense of purpose, right? I was helping students figure out their career and what they wanted to do for their life. But yet my life was a mess. Like I was, at this job and I was working all these hours, but I was like, God, this cannot be it. This cannot be my life. And like you said, my body started taking a toll, my health. I remember just literally feeling drained every morning. And I have, excuse me, I have this philosophy where I wake up every day and I have this, it's kind of like a reminder on my phone that it says, and actually I'll read it out to you, but I have it every day at 8
Yeah,
a.m.
please. I love
And
hearing about other women's successful like morning practices, or subconscious tools to rewire our reality. So yeah.
yes. And I'm very visual, right? And I'm very like, because I live such a fast and busy, quote unquote, busy life. So I need things to ground me daily. And so I really do work off very well off alarms or not alarms, but like lists and just things that remind me to stay present. So I have this thing every day at 8 a.m. that says, if today was the last day of my life, would I want to do what I am about to do today? And so every day I have
Wow.
to come and check that off. And so for if for too many days in a row I'm not excited about what I'm going to do that day, then I have to check in with myself and kind of recalibrate, right? Because it's like if today was really my last day, and we don't think about that, right? Ever.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like we're living. Sometimes we ponder when things happen or someone brings it up, but this really just kind of pulls you back in. And it's like, really, if today really was my last day, if anything I'm going to do today, is that going to bring me any sort of joy or accomplishment or make me feel good, right? And so I just, for a lot of days, I would wake up and it was like, no, I was just not excited. I literally lived 7 minutes away from my job and it was so hard to get there, right? Like I cherished
Mm.
those moments in the morning that I had just for myself. And I was like, so one day, this is what happened. I went into work and we had this morning, they called it stand-up meeting every morning at 11 a.m. And I was standing
I
up and
remember
I was,
those.
yeah. And it was like, I mean, it was like almost senseless, right? It's like, God, an hour of just nothing. But anyway, so we get there and I was sick. I'd been so sick for days, but God forbid I call in sick because I never, that was in my work ethic, right? It's like work, work, work. So I get there and I start feeling just really funky. And the manager's like blah 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 and your numbers and this and that. And by the way, I was doing great at work. I was like top performer, youngest youngest counselor there, but doing the best, whatever. And everything just starts to fade. My vision starts going black. And I just remember patting my coworker on the side and being like, I think I'm gonna faint. I think I'm gonna pass out. And sure enough, like I wake up in the bathroom, like
Oh
two
my God.
paramedics, yeah, like everyone freaking out. And I was just like, wow. The first thing I opened my eyes and I thought, I need to quit. Like this can't be my life. So like you said, I was like, I'm smart. Social media had always been a thing for me. Traveling had always been a thing for me. And I just said, to be completely honest, I didn't have a plan. All I thought was, I need to get the F out of here. I need to travel. I need to like get my life back. I've always been so adventurous and like fun. And I felt like slowly that was getting sucked out of me. Right. And I know this is
Mhm.
normal, when we have responsibilities and things, but I didn't want to be normal. I've never ever considered myself normal. And I've always felt, I don't want to say special because I mean, we're all special. I've always felt just like different. I don't know. I don't know how to say that in a way that doesn't come off, but however it comes off, I own that because I remember being very young and just being like, I just felt different. And so I thought, you know what? I have some money saved up. Um, I have Spanish, descent, my ancestors. So I was like, I love Spain. I've always wanted to go to Spain. So, and I wanted to continue my education. So I literally overnight, I was crying and I had an anxiety attack. I was like, oh my God, am I really going to quit my job? Like, I don't have a lot of money. And my parents, what are they going to say? And just all the things, right, that were like conditioned to really consider, except myself. Like, I knew in my heart that was it. The moment that happened, I was like, I'm out of here. But of course, our fears, our limitations, our upbringings, our culture, our all of these, labels and all of these conditionings and things that we learn, they really do hold us back.
Mhm.
And, it really is something that we have to constantly check in with ourselves and be so confident in a relationship with ourselves. And like, what do we think about ourselves? What do we want for ourselves before
Mhm.
we start considering the world, and everyone
Yeah.
else? And so I literally overnight, I made a plan. I said, okay, I'm just gonna apply for a school. So I'm not just doing anything because I wanted to continue my education. I was like, I'm gonna apply for a master's program. I'm gonna do this. I kind of made a little plan, but not really, And I
Yeah.
remember I wrote my resignation letter, my 2 weeks notice. And I went up to my manager the next day and I said, I'm leaving. And they were like, yeah, right. No, you can't. Like, here's more money. They try to like put a band-aid on it. Like,
Mhm.
you're just growing. This is normal. They try to give me a raise. They tried everything. And I was just like, no, this is it. Um,
Mhm.
and yeah, I mean, there was a lot to consider. I was also in a 4-year relationship, very committed, very, long-term, very healthy relationship. And that I felt like also I had to reconsider. I was like, okay, is this, am I going to get married and just have kids and like be here? I don't want to say I was feeling a little stuck, but I knew that wasn't the path that like that was it.
Mhm.
And I just thought, my dad had always been an entrepreneur himself and he tried to get a job just like I did. And then the same thing happened where he felt trapped. He felt like he couldn't just, go where he wanted to go when he wanted. And he found a way. I mean, no education, no resources, nothing. So I really didn't have an excuse. I was like, I'm educated. I have resources. I need to figure this out.
Mhm.
And so, long story short, I bought a one-way ticket to China because I had friends in China. Um, And then I said, I'm just going to figure it out. I'll find something online. And to be honest, the first couple of months, I was just living my life. I was like, F it, I'm just going to blow all my money. Like,
Yeah.
through this world. Like, I need to live my life. So I went to Thailand for the first time. That was eye-opening, amazing. And just meeting people, you know, when you travel, something happens where you meet people that just, you know, they might not have a lot of money, but they're happy and they tell you why they're happy. And
Mm-hmm.
it makes you consider, like, am I really happy, or like how much do I need to be happy?
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so that reframed my mind a lot. Traveling was just like, you know, the best education I could have gotten outside of any classroom
Oh,
of
love
any
this.
degree. Yes.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And I mean, I think you can, if you, I mean, you've traveled, I think you can concur with that. That it's like you just learn so much about not just yourself, but the world, right? It's like when you're
Mm-hmm.
traveling and people and other things, it just opens up your mind. It's like you don't know what you don't know. But I mean, yeah, I can just imagine what was it for you when you first traveled outside your own country.
Yeah, what I find regarding your morning practice that you're doing, like asking the questions of if it's my last day, would I still do the things that I'm planning to do today? For me, it's connecting with my mission. Like, uh, I want to I want to create a successful business, okay, but I want to have a happy life where
Mm.
I healed my past. I have freedom in my healing from the old wounds, and I'm creating the same world for the women in my world. So my
Mm.
mission is to bring more money in women's hands, both in mine and my family, my mother's, my sister, my
Yes.
because I also grew up in a family where we didn't have a lot of money, and that created a lot of conflict, created a lot of trauma. So now when I'm talking about money, I'm not only referring about money, I'm referring about creating a life that offers you freedom. And you also said that for you, traveling brings freedom. So
Mhm.
by connecting with your mission, as you did when you decided, I want to travel, I want to be free, so I want to travel. So when we're connecting daily with our mission, and when we're thinking about our end goal that we want to achieve, the steps will be unraveled in time. We don't have a plan. I love to think that nobody knows exactly what they're doing. We're just experimenting, So
Yes.
um, once you are connected with your desire, with your mission, then the things will come to you. The money will come, the tools, the people that will help you grow will come. So I love what you said about traveling as well, because every time when I travel to other country, I come back a new human being. Like
Yeah.
I meet new people, I learn new things, I get into different communities, I learned other people's success recipes or happiness recipes, exactly as you said,
Mhm.
and things are starting to unravel. Year when I traveled to Tenerife, I learned a new body-based technique to heal trauma from the body, and that shifted
Mm.
both my life and all the clients I was working with, because I was not only working with hypnosis anymore and with the mind, but I was also working with the body. So only one travel brought me a new method of work that helped me change women's lives. So I had the mission of I want to change women's life, and I met the people, I met the instruments, I met the tools that helped me do that. So I love that
Amazing.
you're having the same experience. You're receiving the guidance every day. And
Yes.
it would be from your perspective, what is your success recipe, let's say?
That's a great question. And, you know, I want to mention something about these travels and associated with money, right? Because we talked about me growing up and there wasn't those resources. Like I could never in my childhood life could I have imagined that I would travel to 50 countries, let alone, you know, anywhere outside of like Mexico or where I lived here. And I do have to say that even while traveling and I was meeting people, there was a lot of triggers for me. right? Like I would meet a lot of people that had a lot of money, and then I
Mm.
would meet people that had not so much money. And it just brought so many different emotions and things for me, because I always lived in this scarcity mindset. You know, I grew up with immigrant parents, like very, like I said, very limited resources. Like we were never hungry or anything like that, but it was like I knew that I didn't have a lot, right? Compared to like
Mhm.
other children. I didn't shop where they shopped. I didn't, you know, go out to eat where they went out to eat, things like that. So these things, I remember you saying earlier on when we started that, like our childhood starts everything, right? So I remember like it would bring me to my childhood where I would start comparing myself, where like, oh my God, you know, like for example, I had a partner at the time where he came from a very affluent family, and you know, he would spend like no problem, and he didn't think about how much he was spending on a meal if we were like in Greece or in Turkey or wherever it was. And for me, it was like that was always like in the back of my head, like, oh well, I need to make sure that I have enough here because I'm gonna go there. So I
Mhm.
almost felt like I couldn't just be present because this money thing was like always kind of there, right? And
Mhm.
looking back now, I could have just been like, who cares? I'm here. Like I'm enjoying it. Doesn't matter. You know, it's just so many shifts. But going back to the recipe for success, I would say, and again, we talked about this and we kind of agreed on this with you, is that it has to be, first of all, I would define what success means to me, right? Like really cancel out all the noise from what we think other people expect from us, or what success looks like for, I don't know, on Instagram or on TikTok, on
Mhm.
Facebook. Like really define what it is that you really, really want, and what how are you going to feel when you feel that you're successful? Like what does it mean, first of all, to me, and what do I need really? Like what do I need in order to feel that and be successful? Because sometimes, to be honest, and I think you can agree that we think in our mind that it takes all of these things, millions of dollars, but really when we get to it, it's like when you write it down and you really get to the core of it, you know, there are very, not very few things, but there are like values that we really, really, it narrows down to, right? That make us happy. And so for me, I would say to really just narrow down on what your definition is of success. Like you said, it needs to be tied to a mission, because when you do things for yourself, there comes a time where it's like, okay, this is cool, this is fun, but what else, right? What else is there?
Mhm.
And so when I was traveling, I was like, okay, this is great. And then I started seeing other people that were like messaging me and being like, oh my God, I wish I could do that. And I was like, but you can. And so like, it was like, then I was like, I tied that with like, okay, now it's important for me to help other people feel how I feel, because I was feeling so free and so full of possibilities. So yeah, I just got really clear on what it meant for me. I got clear on a mission, on how I could help others. And I really just decided that I was going to do it no matter what, like no matter how long it took, no
Mhm.
matter, you know, how many tries, no matter if I was embarrassed. I mean, I had gone through so much in my life that I was like, okay, I need to commit to this no matter what. Like
Mhm.
I have my own back no matter what. It might take, you know, 10 months, it might take 10 years, but I need to stay committed to this.
Mm.
And
Love that.
yeah, so I mean, there's no one way, to be honest. I would say for success. I just think you have to be relentless. You have to, you know, keep trying and really tie it to I have my own back no matter what. You know,
Oh,
like yeah, like I
yeah.
have my own back no matter what. I know that the universe, God, whoever, whatever you want to call it, but I, you know, has my back, and I have my back no matter what. And when you have that, I mean, there's just really nothing that can stop you from success. Like you said, life, people start coming into your life, resources, things that you just never could imagine. And I know people
Mhm.
say that all the time. And when I was stuck, I just didn't get that. I was like, how? Like this isn't happening for me. But I
Mhm.
was coming from that place of lack. Like I was just in this negative, like I don't have it yet energy. So I couldn't understand how these people were like, yeah, it's gonna come when you least expect it and all these things. And I was like, but it's not, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
so
I totally resonate with that. Like I used to be really triggered by affirmations or, like
Mhm.
manifestation or things like that because I used to have wounds from the past, money trauma from the past, and, like financial trauma coming up. And I am curious, how did you overcome that? Because you said that the same as me, you had some conditioning around money, like the scarcity mindset, the fear, the worry around money. So the stuckness that that you feel you couldn't move in any direction. So how did you get over that period of time?
Yeah, that's a really good question. And I think, I mean, just to be transparent here, I think that's, I'm still a work in progress, right? I can't say
You're
like,
right.
oh, I'm healed and all my money, all my limitations and conditionings and traumas are healed. I mean, that's absolutely garbage. I think like, of
No,
course, we're
I believe
always,
the same. Yes. Yes.
and don't get me wrong, like, the transformation is amazing, but I want to say that, and that's what keeps me going too, right? Like I think I told you I love education. I love to learn. I would say I'm almost addicted to learning and just expanding and really opening my mind to new things, new possibilities, new experiences. But with the sense of, this journey in terms of money mindset and scarcity and things like this, I think it's something that you just have to be, first of all, very aware of. Because
Mm-hmm.
sometimes we don't know, right? Like you just don't know what you don't know. So growing up, like I knew I felt certain things. I knew something. It always felt like there was this block. And now I know it was, certain blocks or limiting beliefs, but it just felt like I always had this dead end. Or I would remember seeing some people like, God, they're so lucky. Like, how did they get that? Like, they're so lucky. So I just, I remember this constant loop and thought that these things weren't available for me. But I
Mm-hmm.
never stopped to question as to why those people were getting what they were getting, or how can I, happen for me. I was just like in this victim mentality a lot of the
Mm-hmm.
times.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think it takes just sometimes life and just circumstances and really shitty situations. I don't know if I can curse, but really
Yeah.
like, just really shitty situations where I was just fed up with myself. Like, God, why am I so negative? And, then obviously like it took some awareness, and I was like, okay, well, my parents have a really, when I talked to them, I would ask them about money, like it was very apparent to me that their mindset was just very limited, and because of their growth, how they grew up.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just started literally researching, like, how can I make more money, and all these like limiting mindset things and all this like healing and stuff would come up, and I was like, okay, I need to learn about that. So again, for me, I'm very resourceful, right? So I thought, okay, I don't have money, I keep getting money and it keeps getting away from me, like I need to learn. So I was aware enough to be like, I need to acquire a skill or hire someone, right? Someone that's like where I want to be, and they need to teach me, like, what am I missing?
Mm-hmm.
So I started from that. I started little courses here, reading books there. Obviously, I think when on one of your questions, I was reading like, who was your professional mentor or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
What is amazing to me is that we have all of these mentors available to us, right? Like they have no idea.
Yeah.
But through books, for example, through your podcast, I mean, you might be a mentor for so many women, and or through Instagram, through whoever. It's like we have access to all of these amazing resources. And even if you don't have any money, right? Like you can pick up a book or like go to your library or just listen to a podcast, whatever it is. But I really made it an intention to be like, this is something that I need to heal or that I need to get better at, or I'm going to stay stuck. Like I remember just thinking, yes, this is something I need to learn or, you know, fix in a way.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, learning about that. Um, Obviously getting a little bit of financial literacy, because when you're younger you're just like spending, and I was in credit card debt, and then school loans and all these things. But for me it was really an awareness, and then getting help, honestly having someone, a mentor,
Oh, yeah.
and just saying, I need help. Like that was so hard for me because I thought I could figure it all myself, but no, like you need, there's these moments in people where it's just light bulbs of moments where it's like, ah, that's what it is. And,
Mhm.
it's not afraid of saying that, like, I need help, and getting someone to help you. So, and I'm still in that journey, like
Yes.
I'm getting better at it, of course. And I've been very fortunate, very blessed, but it's, every new level brings a devil, as they say.
Wow, I
So,
didn't know this thing. It's exactly what I preach in all my courses. Like every new financial level comes with new blocks.
oh,
We
yes,
are a work in progress, like if we
always.
overcome a stage of our financial journey, of our healing journey, it doesn't mean that we are set up for the rest of our lives. It just means that we overcame a chapter. So I love that you admit that, and we are true to what we say and to how we share our work online. And I am also currently working through another of my money stages. So we are always working, and I love how your journey is exactly like, no matter who am I talking with, I discovered that we went through the same similar stages. And that's why my program and my process is first discovery stage, where you realize that you have some blocks, you start to dig up in your past, in your previous money wounds. And then is the healing stage, when you start learning, reading, receiving help from some mentors. And then the
Hmm.
action stage is when you starts to put money aside, act differently with money, don't spend on things that impulsively anymore. So actual new behaviors around money. So it's exactly like how your journey was, and how my journey was, and how it's continuing to build up. And I have one more curiosity as a last question.
Yeah.
How did you rewire those wounds triggered, those money ones triggered by traveling? You said that you met people that were like wealthier than you, or like with a lower financial income. And I had the similar experience. I was really triggered by, especially you can get triggered on Instagram, for example. If you see the
Hmm.
traveling accounts, you're like, oh my gosh, where those people have so much money to travel? But then you find out that they have a credit in the bank, or they are like working 3 jobs per day or stuff like
Yes.
that. So how do you work with these triggers?
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, like, just to mention on that, like, I grew this account to like 40,000 followers. My first business as a travel influencer. And, I was staying at like the most exclusive hotels, and I wasn't paying for them, by the way. These are all collaborations, again, using my marketing skills, my marketing degree to like get these collaborations. That's how I started my second business, right? So yes, no one puts their worst things on Instagram. We all put our best life, our best foot forward on Instagram, and that's very easy to get triggered. But I was always very transparent as to like how I was doing it, why I was doing it. But absolutely, I was very triggered. And especially, like I mentioned at the time, my partners and my classmates, I went to school with the wealthiest people, right? Like, kids, my best friends from China. I mean, they were like multimillionaires, super humble, by the way. You would never know, but I knew, right? Like, they would invite me to their houses and I would learn about their parents. And I was like, holy shit, like, you're so rich. And again, it's those things that, like, they're things that come up from your childhood, right? Where it's like, oh my God, and am I good enough? Like, are they going to know that I'm like poor and that I don't have money? And it all came down, to be honest with you, and that all came down to my self-worth. And
Mm.
once I just did layers and layers, I was like, okay, but money, like, these people love me, and I'm going to these places, but it's me. Like, I started just getting super clear on like that. Yes, I wanted money. Yes, money is important because that's just the world that we live in. But again, just like layers and layers of my feelings and those triggers, I would start asking questions. I remember literally asking questions, writing them down. I'm huge on like journaling and writing things down. And I would ask questions like, okay, why do I feel this? Because this. Well, why is this? Because this. And at the end of my paper, at the end of my notebook, it was my self-worth. It was like, I didn't see the value in me as a person. So
Mm.
it wasn't about the money at all. Right. It
Yes.
was like, it was me that, like, how I perceived myself. And then once I realized that, you know what, the money or no money, like these people love me because of who I am, my personality, I'm fun. They invite me everywhere. And like, and money was never even brought up. It was all me, right? Like it was like in my own head. And so,
Mhm.
and again, I don't want to say it's completely, you know, healed, but the way I dealt with these triggers was just, again, really getting very deep and honest with myself. Like it's never about an external thing. And I think you can agree. It's like, and I started just, again, it all came back to my childhood, being aware of like why I felt that, why certain situations were triggering, and just saying again that, like, you know what, I am worthy. I love myself no matter what, and I am okay. I am safe. And that was that. And from there,
Mhm.
I just, you know, I saw them in a different light. I said, wow, they are an example of what's possible, right? Like we all come from different backgrounds. Obviously, like it wasn't like oh my God, well, my parents aren't wealthy and their parents are. It wasn't like I didn't start comparing myself anymore, because those are thoughts you have, right? Like, well, they have it easy, like their parents are rich and, you know, blah, blah, blah. But I started just shifting my mindset and saying, you know what, if it's possible for them, it's possible for me.
Yes.
And just seeing it from a place of like abundance and being so grateful for what I did have and for being in those situations and being exposed to those situations and to those people, it just made me think like, wow, this is possible for me. And you know, I continue to do that. And now when I see people, like you say, on Instagram, like it's easy to get triggered when, you know, I'm a coach myself, an entrepreneur now. So when I see, you know, other entrepreneurs or other, you know, some mentors, and they're celebrating these crazy big months and cash months and, you know, 50K and 300K. And it's like, whoa. But now I see it like a celebration, like, wow, that's amazing. That's what's possible for me.
Yes.
Right. And then now I just need to like, you know, do the work so that I can get there, and also like be an example for other women. And that's just my mission now, you know. And I think you're absolutely right. When women come to me, I mean, I do like nothing compared to the work you do with inner work and money mindset and things like that. Mine is very strategy, business oriented, right? Like content and making money online. But it's all the same thing. You know, clients come to me and I see these women and they have all of the desire, the motivation to do all of these things, but it's very clear to me that, you know, whether they've done this inner work or not, because no
Mhm.
matter how much strategy you have, how many tactics, how many step by steps I give them, or, you know, they give us, it's like, if you don't have the belief, if you don't have the foundational, yeah, that belief that like I'm worth it and this is going to happen for me and it's available for me too, then no strategy is going to work, because it's just, you
Mhm.
don't believe it's possible for you.
Yes,
So
yes, 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 to
long
that.
answer,
That's
long answer, but
that's exactly what most of my clients came to me after doing 2, 3 years of mindset work and trying all the
Mm,
strategies and feeling burnout and feeling almost to the point of wanting to let go of their businesses. And we are like, yeah, but you didn't even started the work. You weren't in your childhood and you weren't accessing the root causes of your money blocks. And
mhm,
I take them from the point zero again, and I give them the hope that once we go in and cover the money beliefs the parents inherited from their parents, from religion, from education, from their friends. As you say, like if you have wealthier friends, you can start to create the comparison wound really soon. And for me it was like that. Like I had two cousins that were wealthier for me, so every time I went to them they were like, see my new pants, look how wealthy I am. And you don't have those
yeah,
pants because your parents are like, you have low income than my parents, and I'm like constantly triggered by them. And I ended up
mhm,
the same adult that every time I went to Instagram, I was like, how come does she have more money and I can't? And that was blocking me for many, many years in my financial growth. Once I realized where the wound is coming from, healed the relationship with my cousins, in hypnosis, using subconscious reprogramming, and then using the actual day-to-day examples of when I go to Instagram and now I see someone that managed to have more money than me, like another example of I can do that as well.
Yes.
Women succeeding in their own ways and sharing lessons and sharing their own revolutionary ways. So because I healed that wound, I'm now able to hold podcasts with other powerful women entrepreneurs that I can learn and inspire myself from instead of being triggered and compare myself with. So that's the power of inner work. I feel it's like
Yes.
amazing. Oh my God, it
Yeah.
was
And
so lovely to have you and to talk with you today. And we usually do our podcast for half an hour, but we're like 45 minutes into the
I
podcast.
know, I
And
noticed
I
that.
feel I would stay until tomorrow morning and talk with you. And I want to thank you for all the golden nuggets you gave to our listeners tonight. How traveling can trigger money wounds. How did you overcome your money mindset journey? How you were able to create a successful business online. And thank you for everything you shared. And I'm going to leave you the links for people to come into your world and see more of your journeys because I will follow them as well. And
Thank you.
yeah, thank you for everything, Esmeralda.
No, thank you so much. And thank you for the work that you're doing. I mean, this is fundamental to women's success. And I think, yeah, this is just, it's the work that we need more than ever in the world. So thank you. Thank you for your gifts and for continuing to show up for women like myself and so many more. And yes, I'll definitely be following your journey as well.
Thank you as well for everything. Thank you for listening to us tonight, and you will find all our links in the description. And see you on the next episode. Bye-bye.
Bye.